For over 3,000 years, the most beautiful woman in ancient history vanished without a trace. No tomb, no funeral, no body, just gone. Her name was erased from monuments, her temples destroyed, her legacy buried under the sands of time. But in 2010, modern DNA technology finally uncovered the horrifying truth about Queen Nefertiti's disappearance. And what scientists found was far more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. This isn't just another story about ancient Egypt. This is a tale of royal inbreeding, genetic catastrophe, violent death, and a cover-up that lasted millennia. And the evidence? It's written in the very DNA of the mummies themselves. When you think of ancient Egypt, you probably picture King Tutankhamun, the boy king whose golden mask has captivated the world. But here's what they don't tell you in history class. King Tut was just a sick, crippled child who died at 19. The real power behind Egypt's most revolutionary period? That was Nefertiti. Nefertiti wasn't just a pretty face on a limestone bust. She was a co-ruler alongside her husband, Pharaoh Akhenaten, who launched the most radical religious revolution Egypt had ever seen. Together, they did the unthinkable. They abolished the worship of Egypt's ancient gods, gods that had been worshipped for thousands of years, and replaced them with a single deity, the sun disk, called the Aten. Imagine the Vatican suddenly declaring that Christianity is canceled. That's essentially what Akhenaten and Nefertiti did. They shut down temples, fired the priests, and moved the entire capital city from Thebes to a hastily built desert metropolis called Amarna. This wasn't just religious reform. It was cultural annihilation. And Nefertiti was right there beside Akhenaten, wielding power like no Egyptian queen before her. The art from this period shows us something remarkable. Nefertiti depicted in the same powerful poses as the pharaoh himself, wearing the royal crown, smiting enemies. She wasn't just a consort. She was a ruler in her own right. Some scholars even believe she took on a male pharaoh's name and ruled Egypt after Akhenaten's death. Then, around the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, something strange happened. Nefertiti simply disappeared. One day she's depicted in monuments and inscriptions everywhere, and the next, nothing. Complete silence. No record of her death, no funeral inscriptions, no tomb. For a queen of her stature, this is absolutely bizarre. Egyptian royalty obsessed over their burials. They spent decades preparing elaborate tombs, stockpiling treasures for the afterlife, ensuring their names would live forever in stone. But Nefertiti, it's like she was erased from history. And here's where it gets even more sinister. After the Amarna period ended, someone went on a systematic campaign of destruction. Temples were demolished stone by stone. Monuments were defaced. Nefertiti's name and image were chiseled out of inscriptions. In ancient Egyptian belief, this wasn't just vandalism. It was murder of the soul. They believed that destroying someone's name and image in this world would destroy their existence in the afterlife. It was a fate worse than death. For centuries, Egyptologists searched for answers. Where was Nefertiti's tomb? What happened to her body? How did she die? The mystery seemed unsolvable, until DNA technology changed everything. In 1898, French archaeologist Victor Larrey made an incredible discovery in the Valley of the Kings. Inside tomb KV-35, the burial place of Pharaoh Amenhotep II, he found something unexpected. A cache of royal mummies that had been hidden there, likely to protect them from tomb robbers. In a small side chamber, Lorette discovered 3 bodies lying side by side, stripped naked and damaged by ancient thieves. One was an older woman, one was a young boy, and one was a younger woman with distinctive features and a horrifying injury. This woman, who would come to be known as the Younger Lady, had severe damage to the left side of her face. Her jaw was shattered. The wound was so devastating that for over a century, people assumed it must have been caused by tomb robbers violently ransacking the mummy. But when scientists finally examined her using modern CT scanning technology, they discovered something chilling. The injury happened before death. This wasn't post-mortem damage. This woman had her face violently smashed in while she was still alive, and based on the severity of the wound, it almost certainly killed her. Someone murdered her, and they did it violently. For over 100 years, the identity of the Younger Lady remained a mystery. Some thought she might be Nefertiti. Others suggested she was Kia, another wife of Akhenaten. But nobody could prove anything, until 2010. That's when Dr. Zahi Hawass and an international team of geneticists conducted comprehensive DNA testing on the royal mummies from the 18th dynasty. What they discovered rewrote everything we thought we knew about King Tut's family, and potentially solved the mystery of Nefertiti. Here's what the DNA revealed. First, the Younger Lady is the biological mother of King Tutankhamun. That part was exciting, but not shocking. But then came the bombshell. She is also the full biological sister of the mummy found in tomb KV-55, the mummy believed by many scholars to be Akhenaten himself. Read that again. King Tut's mother was the sister of his father, which means Tutankhamun's parents were brother and sister. The DNA also revealed that the Younger Lady, Tut's mother, was a daughter of Pharaoh Amenhotep III and Queen Tai. This makes her a princess of the blood royal, a king's daughter. Now here's the problem. Nefertiti was never given the title king's daughter in any surviving inscription. Historical records suggest she was the daughter of a high court official named Ai, not the daughter of Amenhotep III. So if the Younger Lady is a king's daughter, and if she was Akhenaten's sister wife, then she probably isn't Nefertiti. Or is she? Some researchers, including prominent Egyptologists like Joanne Fletcher, have argued that the Younger Lady could still be Nefertiti. Here's their reasoning. The facial reconstruction of the Younger Lady, created using cutting-edge forensic technology, bears a striking resemblance to the famous bust of Nefertiti. The bone structure, the elegant neck, the refined features, they match. What if Nefertiti was actually a daughter of Amenhotep III? What if the historical records got it wrong? Or what if there was a deliberate cover-up to hide the incestuous nature of royal marriages? After all, during the systematic erasure of the Amarna period, countless records were destroyed. What if the truth about Nefertiti's parentage was deliberately buried to make the royal family seem less controversial? Currently, in 2024, renowned archaeologist Zahi Hawass has been conducting new DNA analysis on mummies designated KV-21A and KV-21B, two unnamed female mummies discovered in another tomb. Hawass has stated he believes he can use advanced DNA techniques to finally identify Nefertiti's mummy definitively. But regardless of whether the Younger Lady is Nefertiti or an unnamed sister wife of Akhenaten, the DNA tells us one thing for certain. King Tut's mother met a violent end. And the genetic evidence reveals something even more horrifying about this family. The DNA testing didn't just identify family relationships, it revealed the catastrophic genetic consequences of royal inbreeding. And what the scientists found was absolutely devastating. The royal family of the Amarni period had genetic diversity so low it was comparable to children born from father-daughter or brother-sister unions maintained over multiple generations. This wasn't just one generation of sibling marriage. This was systematic inbreeding that had gone on for so long that it essentially destroyed the family's genetic health. The consequences were horrifying. King Tutankhamun suffered from severe skeletal abnormalities, including clubfoot, scoliosis, and bone necrosis. He had a cleft palate. His immune system was severely compromised. He likely needed a cane to walk. DNA analysis revealed he suffered from multiple malaria infections that his weakened body couldn't fight off. The younger lady, whether she's Nefertiti or another princess, shows evidence of similar genetic disorders. CT scans revealed she had slight scoliosis, the same spinal condition as her son. Even Akhenaten himself is depicted in art with unusual physical features: an elongated skull, a distended belly, feminine hips, and spider-like fingers. For years, people speculated about alien ancestry or divine heritage. The reality is much sadder. These were likely the visible symptoms of genetic disorders like Marfan syndrome or Antley-Bixler syndrome, caused by generations of inbreeding. This family was biologically doomed. Their DNA was their death sentence. So what happened to Nefertiti, or whoever the younger lady was? The evidence points to assassination. The fatal blow to her face, the violent nature of the injury, the way her body was hastily hidden away with other royal mummies. All of it suggests murder. But why? Who would want to kill one of Egypt's most powerful queens? Remember that religious revolution we talked about? Akhenaten and Nefertiti didn't just make enemies. They made powerful enemies. The priests of Amun, who had wielded enormous power and wealth for centuries, suddenly found themselves unemployed and dispossessed. The military leadership, which relied on the traditional gods for divine sanction, was alienated by the new monotheistic religion. When Akhenaten died, someone had to rule as regent for the young king Tutankhamun. Many scholars believe Nefertiti took on this role, possibly even claiming the throne as pharaoh under a different name, Neferuaten, but a female pharaoh continuing the hated Aten cult. That would have been intolerable to the old guard who wanted to restore traditional Egyptian religion. There's even evidence of a desperate diplomatic attempt to save the dynasty. A letter from the Hittite archives describes an Egyptian queen, possibly Nefertiti or her daughter, writing to the Hittite king, begging him to send one of his sons to marry her and stabilize Egypt. The Hittite prince was sent and was killed at the Egyptian border. Someone didn't want foreign interference. Someone wanted the Amarna dynasty dead. After Tutankhamun's death, power passed to Ai, the same court official who may have been Nefertiti's father, or who may have been a political operator who seized power in a coup. Then came General Horemheb, who completed the restoration of the old religion and methodically destroyed every trace of Akhenaten's revolution. And that brings us back to why Nefertiti disappeared from history. It wasn't just that she died, it's that powerful people wanted to ensure she stayed dead, permanently. Her monuments were destroyed. Her name was chiseled from inscriptions. Her temples were demolished and the stones reused in other buildings. The city of Amarna was abandoned and left to crumble in the desert. Even her body, if the younger lady is indeed Nefertiti, was stripped of its royal regalia, damaged by tomb robbers or political enemies, and hidden away in a side chamber of someone else's tomb, naked and anonymous. In ancient Egyptian belief, this was the ultimate horror: to have your name forgotten, your body desecrated, your soul erased from eternity. Today, over 3,000 years later, DNA technology has given us glimpses of the truth, but the mystery isn't entirely solved. The latest DNA research by Hawass on mummies KV-21A and KV-21B continues as of 2024, with hopes that definitive identification of Nefertiti's remains may finally be announced. Advanced genetic analysis techniques that weren't available even a decade ago might provide conclusive answers. There's also the ongoing debate about whether Nefertiti's tomb might still be hidden somewhere, possibly even behind the walls of Tutankhamun's tomb, as British Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves has suggested. Ground-penetrating radar has detected possible voids behind the burial chamber walls, though results remain controversial. What DNA has revealed about Nefertiti's disappearance is far more complex and disturbing than a simple story of death and burial. It's a tale of a family destroyed by their own genetics, a religious revolution that ended in violence, and a systematic erasure carried out by enemies who wanted to rewrite history. The younger lady, whether she's Nefertiti or an unnamed royal sister, represents the biological and political collapse of the Amarna dynasty. Her shattered face tells us about violent political intrigue. Her DNA tells us about the genetic catastrophe that doomed her family. Her missing identity tells us about the power of those who wanted her forgotten. But here's the irony. In trying to erase her, they made her immortal. Nefertiti's name, or the mystery of her identity, has survived for over 3 millennia. Her beautiful bust is one of the most recognizable artifacts from ancient Egypt. And now, DNA technology has ensured that her story and the horrifying truth of what happened to her family will never be forgotten again. The woman they tried to erase from history has instead become one of history's most enduring mysteries. And modern science has given her a voice from beyond the grave, a voice that speaks not just of beauty and power, but of violence, tragedy, and the catastrophic consequences of playing God with human genetics. That's the real legacy that DNA has revealed. Not just how Nefertiti disappeared, but why someone wanted her gone. How her family's genetics doomed them, and how the attempt to erase her from history has ultimately failed. The beautiful one, as her name means, has returned. And this time, the truth comes with her.